Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood Bank application series. Today we are gonna complete our registration page by hooking it up with the database that we created on this website 000webhost.com. So for that we will be creating a table inside the database named as user table where we want to store the data, and then we will create a PHP script that will insert the data that we send by the application to that script. Okay, so first up we are going to create the database table, the user table, and for that we need to go to manage website. And if you remember from tools, we need to open database manager, click on this manage, and we need to go to php my admin. Click on this blood bank database, and here you will get a option to create a table. We will name it as user table, and we get to decide how many columns we want in this table. In this case we want the full name, the city, the blood bank, the mobile number, the password. So 5 columns as such. And apart from those 5 columns, we are gonna have 2 more columns, and I will show you what those columns are in a minute. So 5 columns we already know, and 2 columns we are gonna add now. So first column we will have is ID. It's going to be an integer type value, and we will click on this auto increment. See, if we click on the auto increment, it will automatically make this key as a primary key, and we needed a primary key to ensure that we can later edit these records, delete these records easily by using a single key. So for that, an auto increment ID is quite common and very useful. So go with that and click on go. Next up we need name. Its type is gonna be text. Then we need city. We will name it as text. And then we have blood group. And yeah, and then we need password is gonna be text type, and we have number also we are gonna take text, because in case somebody enters a 10 digit or 12 digit number, the limit of integer might be exceeded. So in that case, take it as text. And last thing, we need timestamp. So timestamp we are gonna use to record the date at which moment exactly the record was created, and we will assign it a default value of current timestamp. What this means is, every time a record is inserted and we do not provide a timestamp with it in the insert query, the default value is going to be the current timestamp. That's what we want. We want the current timestamp to be inserted in our record so we know exactly at what time this record was created. Now save it. Now if you add a varchar, you will have to specify the length also. So I forgot to specify the length. Let's say 5. because sometimes somebody can enter AB positive, something like that. So for that, I have specified blood group as 5 and save it. So here you have created the table. Now we will write the PHP script for inserting data into this table. So to create a PHP script, come back to this control panel, click on File Manager and click on this Upload Files. This will open the file manager for this web host. So we already have the init PHP file. Now we will create a register.php and we will start writing in it. So this is our register.php. What I've done is I've imported the init.php file with this require keyword. So in case you already know PHP, okay, let me just zoom in for you. Okay, so in case you know PHP, you would know that require, there are two keywords to import files, require and include. Include, if the file doesn't exist, won't stop the script. But if require is used and the file is missing, the script won't work. So we use require for important scripts. And here the init.php is very important to connect with the database. Then we have name, city, blood group, password and number as 5 variables, and these are getting values from the post array. The post array is a global array, a special array you can say, and we will be sending some data to this script and the data will be received in the post array automatically, and we are going to use that data. Next up we have a SQL string in which we have written a SQL query to insert data into the user table. For that the syntax is insert into user table, the columns for which we are providing the values, and then we have the value array in which we are passing the name, city, blood group, password and number in the same order as we have written in the query. Then we have the result, which is another variable which will be holding the result of the MySQL query function. So if the function runs properly, it will result into a success, and if some error happens, we are showing the error message. At the end we are closing the connection. So this is our whole script. To test this script, what we can do is we will provide some values, some dummy values, and check if the script works. So this is how you do some debugging. We will press save and let me go there. So let's check if the data got into the user table. So we don't have the data and we are gonna we are getting these error warnings. Let's see what could have happened. So as usual, the web host logged us out because the session expired. We need to log in again. So we get success this time. So the reason why that was happening, there are some wildcard characters here like the plus, and that was causing a problem. So if we surround our variables with this single quote inside our double quoted string, then you won't get that error. So it's something that you need to keep in mind, and the script works. So these warnings that you're getting are because we are initializing these variables with this post array, but the post array is not getting any of these variables. So this warning is, I have noticed that these are available in some systems, but is not available in every PHP server that you are gonna use. So you won't get this warning message on calling the page if you are using some other hosting provider. So it's just something to keep in mind that if you get this kind of messages during debugging, it's okay. And on the app, we will make sure that we send all the variables so you won't get this message. Another message that we are getting is connected to database. We don't want this message here, and we don't want any of these message here. We just want success, because our app will use this parameter to understand that whether the register script worked or not. So for that, and also see, the table now has this row with the variables that we sent from here: name, city, b plus, password, and 123. So we have it here. And also see that the id is now 1, and we got the timestamp at which time we inserted this row. So it's because we wanted this as the current timestamp, and the id is auto increment. So even if you don't provide the id here anywhere here, you will still get an auto increment id. And now we don't need this record, so we are gonna delete it. And we need to modify this. So modify your init.php file, comment out these echo statements because they are going to create some problems when we are reading the output in our Android application. So just comment this out and press save and close. So we are done here. Now we will just create a Android application. So to hook up a registration page to our database, first up open the Android Studio project, and so far we had created the registration page layout, and we took out the values on the button click from the edit text. Now we have the values on button click in these variables. So before inserting the data into the database, we need to verify if the data is correct, is valid. So for that we create a function is valid, and we take all these values and check if they are correct or not. So here the simple example of validation is we take the name and check. If it is empty, we show the message that name is empty and return false. So this function is valid will return false in case name is empty. We do same things for other values as well. So here what I have done is I've created a list of strings of valid blood groups, added all the valid blood groups that I know. I may have missed some blood groups, you can add them here. And then I'm checking if the valid blood groups contains the blood group which the user entered, then this part will return true and this not symbol will make it false. So in case the user is entering the right blood group that we have specified here, then the blood group will be valid and this if else if condition won't be executed. So and this not will make it true in case the valid blood group doesn't contain the blood group which the user entered. So in that case, it will return false and show this message. So lastly, we are checking the length of the mobile number. In case it's less than 10 or more than 10, we are showing invalid mobile number. Number should be of 10 digits and returning false. So here in the submit button on click listener, we will use this is valid function to validate if the user entered the valid values, if we can store the values and use them. So only if this is valid function will return true, this condition inside the if will be executed and then only we want to store the data. So to make a internet connection in Android, we need to add a user permission for internet. To do that, go to your Android manifest.xml and write this users permission, Android name, android.permission, internet. Now we need to create another package. Cut here. Now, to call our PHP script, we need to make a HTTP request. And to make an HTTP request, we have several methods available in Android. We can either use a background async task, or we can opt for third-party libraries which manage the background task and the complexities on their own. We in this application we are going to use Volley. Volley is a library by Google, and it's highly advanced and it manages the threads and everything on its own. One thing to note here is the HTTP calls are made on the background thread, and it's not part of the main thread, because the UI will wait for the network call if you make the network call on the main thread, and that will slow down the UI and make it unresponsive. So to make an HTTP call in our application, we will add a library called Volley by Google. For that, add this line in your build app level build.gradle file and press sync now. Once the Gradle sync is done, I want you to create another package called utils. In this package, I want you to paste this file. It's a volley singleton. A singleton is a class which can have only one object at a time, and I'll explain you what's the purpose of this volley singleton in a while. So as you can see, it's a volley singleton class, and we are using the package that we just imported. There's request, request queue, and a volley class. So this singleton, we will have only this single instance throughout the app. Each time you make a network call, you are going to use a single instance of this class. So you will get this code on this file. I will share it, and we have the public class for volley singleton. You just need to paste it inside this utils package, and we will use this singleton class to make network calls, HTTP calls basically. And why we are using a singleton, the basic reason is we want only one queue to exist at a time, and that queue will handle everything, each and every request we make through our app. In case we make each time a new object of network call, then we will be making too many network calls in background, and that may make our app unresponsive. So here the background thread management, at what time to call the next request, these all will be managed by this singleton class. You just need to use this. So paste this file in your utils package. So now coming back to the register activity.java file, we will create a function here that will contain the code which will use the volley singleton to create a string request for the register.php file we just created online. And we will use the parameters that we have here: name, city, blood group, password, and mobile, and pass them in the post array of PHP. Let's see how it's done. So here I have created an object of string request. It's a class in the volley, and in the constructor we are passing the method as post. The post and get. There are two methods and some other methods as well to call an HTTP, to make an HTTP call. And we are using the post method, so we will here specify the first parameter in the string request as method.post. The next parameter is the URL. We will write it soon. And then we have listeners of on response, the response that we get after the string is executed. And then we have an error listener in case some error happened during the HTTP call. And another thing that we have added here is we have overridden the getParams method of the string request because we want to add some parameters that we have here to this post array. How we do that is we create a Java map of string to string, and we will put our values, these names, city, blood group, into this hash map and return it as parameter. You can see the return type of this protected method getParams is map. So we will simply put the values here, params.put, and we need to make it final here because we are accessing it inside inner class. So now one thing to notice is this name of the key is very important. You need to name this exactly the same as you specified in your PHP script. The post array will get this name and this value. So you need to be very sure that you specify it properly. So this is how we specify the post array from Android. And now in the error listener, we just want to say something went wrong, and we need to also see what exactly went wrong. So we will log this error. And in the response, we are getting a string response. So if response dot equals success, that means we have successfully registered. So in on response, we are getting a string named as response from the script. So whatever we were echoing in the script, we will get in this response string. So we are checking if the response is equals to success, then we are printing the response, and also we will open main activity here. Let's just open right now. And we will finish this activity. So on response we are doing this, and if the response is not successful, we will just print the response, whatever the response is. There can be some error message or something like that, so we are printing it here. So this method looks fine to me, so we will just call it here. Okay, so now the code is ready. We can run our application and test it. So the error that we are getting here is because of the bad URL. The bad URL, we haven't passed any URL, we are just passing an empty string. So what I want you to do is create a class in your utils called endpoints, and in that endpoint create a private variable of base URL. So this base URL won't change, and just copy and paste this URL here and create another variable for your register URL and append a new string to the base URL, that is the file name that we are calling. We are calling the file name after the base URL. So just add that file name and then we can use this URL here. So this way we are more organized and we we can use this, we can change the base URL basically if we move to some other hosting website, and then it will be very easy for us to move. Now, now our app should work. So once again, let's try. We get success and our main activity is opened. Now let's see if we have this data in our database. To open your phpMyAdmin, you can open it from here, the database manager, manage in phpMyAdmin. Coming here in the blood bank database, the user table, we see our entries here. This isn't refreshed. One thing we forgot to do, the reason why we are getting the old values that we used during debugging, is we forgot to remove the temporary variables that we added there. So in your register.php file, if you still have these values that we use for debugging, just remove them and press save and close. Now if you enter a new value and register a new user, you should get the data in the database. So we get success here, and in the table we get the new user. So it's all working fine. Guys, if you like this video and you want to have more coding videos and anything, cancel here. So guys, if you like this video and you want this series to continue, please consider subscribing to the channel.